Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Threads of Fate, a solo and cooperative riddle game that's currently on crowdfunding. And no disclaimer for this one, they did send me a pretty much finished prototype of the game, but I'm sending it back to them. I really love the last game I played from the same company, Post Curious, The Light in the Mist. I thought the mix of story and great riddles was amazing. Does Threads of Fate rise to that same level? Let's find out and get to the list. So first, for my number 5 point, I'm looking at the story and theme in the game, and for me, this is generally a pro. There's not a ton of reading in the game. Each of the chapters will have, something like this, like one letter, or sometimes like some extra little excerpts to read. Honestly, chapter 1 with the journal is probably the longest you'll have to read of stuff, and then it gets a little bit shorter afterwards. But I found it a pretty engaging story. It's fairly mysterious. The kind of forces and choices at work are in this interesting kind of moral gray area. I enjoy that. The writing is well done, and it does tie in a lot to Norse mythology. So if you know about Norse mythology or have interest in it or have played God of War Ragnarok recently, then you might have extra fun with this. Next, my number 4 point, I think important to mention with any of these kind of like one-off games is value. So this one I think is pretty good when you compare it to other games of the same type, to like one-off kind of escape room-ish games. Usually for these kind of games, like if you look at the Unlock series or the Exit series or the Deckscape series or the Hunt a Killer or any of those kind of things, you're usually looking at about, $20 for an hour of gameplay. That's sort of the average metric. So Threads of Fate is about 4 times that, but it's got 4 entire chapters, and at least for me, each of the chapters took 2 to 3 hours. So yeah, I think all told, I beat the entire thing. It was 12 to 14 hours of playtime. So by the, $20 for an hour kind of metric that I had earlier, $80 is a steal. Now, all that being said, I'm comparing it to other escape room and mystery style games. If you compare the price point to like a game you can play like 30, 40 times, it's never going to compare very well. So I'll still call this a mix, just because I think all these games are either a mix or a con when it comes to value. But this one is, I think, very good when you compare it to other games of the same type. All right, this next one, I can't really show anything on the screen that actually relates to it, but it's the online integration. And this is going to be a mix for my taste, and it'll kind of depend on how you feel about things. So basically, a lot of the puzzles in the game, I wouldn't say like half, but a good third at least, will send you to the internet in one way or another. And the puzzles are interesting, but of course, some people don't want to like have this kind of game have that technological integration, so that might bother you. And also, just one small like nitpick that kind of pushed it a bit more toward a mix for me is that you really often need to like have a desktop. So like when I would try to do it on my phone, some puzzles just wouldn't work that well. Like it would need me to like right click. And if y'all know how to right click on your phone on a website, then, let me know. So sometimes I felt a bit trapped with my computer for some of the puzzles. Now, if you have a laptop or probably a tablet would be able to do some of the stuff better, then I think it won't be a problem. And again, I think the technology is very well done, but sometimes it can be slightly annoying to like deal with it depending on your taste. Now for number 2, this time I can show you a website. It is the Hint System, and this is a full pro by far. No question for me. Best hint system I've ever seen in any of these types of games. Now it is online, but this one works fine with phones and stuff. And basically they just give you very minor hints and pushes step by step. So it is the most granular, most helpful hint system, again, I've ever played. And it's just great because it lets you still solve the puzzle and still feel smart. And finally, my last one, a full-on pro, are the actual riddles in this one, the puzzles. They have really cool things. Now, I will say a few caveats because this is going to depend on your taste. I found the puzzles very challenging in this one, more so than Exit, Unlock, The Light in the Mist, the previous Post Curious game I played. Like, this is one of the more challenging escape room experiences I've ever played, which is saying something because I've done a lot of them. A lot of, not what I would call busy work, but there's a lot of kind of iterating on something. Like, you'll figure something out, something with, I don't know, like ciphers or geolocation or something. And you'll like know what you have to do, but then you have to do it like 8 or 10 times to get all the data you need. And then you have to combine that data in some way to actually arrive at the answer. Now, for me, somebody who likes ciphers, who likes code breaking, who likes kind of, breaking down things and then putting them back together, I loved it. But if you, want something more like, again, like the Unlock series where you just solve a puzzle and boom, you're done. And then you solve the next puzzle and boom, you're done. Like you don't have to actually kind of work through things and like do some math or like put together together some letters or those kind of things, then you might not like it as much. But I think the puzzles were clever. I think they're super varied across the 12 plus hours of play. I think they're incredibly challenging, and you'll feel so cool when you solve them. So I just love this. So overall, I can recommend Threads of Fate if you like escape room games, if you like puzzle games, if you like more challenging riddle games, because again, this is a pretty tough one. And especially if you like ciphers and code breaking and that kind of stuff, there's a lot of that in the game. And if you don't mind app and website integration, because that's a pretty heavy component. On the other hand, you might want to avoid this one if all you've got patience for is like a 1 hour riddle game like an Unlock or an Exit. It's going to take a lot more focus. And also, like with all these types of games, if you're looking for something you can replay forever and not a really engaging and interesting experience that's basically one off, you might not want this one. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.